Welcome to the Ask Me How I Know show. I'm your host, Julie Holly, and I'm so excited you're here. Ask Me How I Know is the only podcast in the multifamily niche replicating what takes place outside the walls of a seminar. Remember when we used to get together like that? This is like the lobby where honest, unscripted conversations take place and transformation happens. We'll talk about practical problem solving in the multifamily niche as well as overcoming mental roadblocks. This episode is brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. 3 Keys Investments is dedicated to helping people like you, you, enter the multifamily investment space to build passive income and legacy wealth. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed Ask Me How I Know, I'd be honored if you did. Thanks so much for joining me today, and now for our featured guest. Hey guys, welcome back to another Marvelous Monday Mindset episode. I'm so grateful you are here, and I'm going to borrow something from a really accomplished podcaster, and he says the price of admission is to rate, review, or share the episode. So I'm going to encourage you to pay the price of admission. I don't have any advertisements. I don't think I ever will. But please help get the word out there about this podcast, because the only way this podcast will spread and grow is by people like you listening, taking a moment to review it, to rate it, and to share it. So choose one today and I would be smitten and really grateful. Let's go ahead and set an intention for this awesome week ahead of us. It is going to be a phenomenal week, but you know what? There are going to be challenges. There is going to be some friction. That's how it goes. In fact, I was listening to another podcast, Ed Milet, and his podcast is also ginormous and very informative on the mindset topic. And he was interviewing Dr. Susan David. I highly recommend this episode. It's on emotional agility. And one of my huge, profound takeaways was what she said. She says, discomfort is the price of admission to a meaningful life. Do you want to live a life that is substantive? Do you want to live a life that people want to emulate and become and say, wow, that is a life of purpose and meaning and doing tremendous good in this world? Well, if you're on that path, it's going to require discomfort and friction and change. I've been locked in on this concept about how one door opens, and then if you walk down that path, you can open another door. Let's talk about that for just a moment. The concept of personal development, personal evolution. If you are the same person that you were 5 years ago, I would say a good question to ask yourself is, am I stagnant? Okay, let's think about what stagnant looks like. I am thinking about when I'm out hiking or backpacking and I come across some small ponds, small bodies of water in the summer months, and they're covered, they have like algae growing on the inside, and they have dust of pollen from the trees, and it's like a cesspool for mosquitoes. It's just where the mosquitoes breed. I'm just wondering, in your mind's eye, is that a place of beauty? You see, stagnation, when something just pools and sits and doesn't change, it doesn't create beauty. Now let's compare that to a waterfall, if you will. I spent a lot of time growing up near Yosemite Valley. I spent a lot of time around those beautiful waterfalls. And those waterfalls, they'll pour over the rim and crash down. And actually there's a purification process that's taking place to that water just by the nature of it falling and crashing down so hard. And then it goes through these rocks, this gauntlet, right? And finally, I'm thinking specifically of like Yosemite Falls. Finally, it like spills and it's just this gentle rolling stream. But it's moving and it's going somewhere. You see, if you're stagnant, you're looking at, you 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and you haven't changed. Are you more like that wilderness pond that's the breeding zone for mosquitoes and just the catch-all for a lot of just not so beautiful things to be growing? Or are you going to be like the waterfall, where the water is moving from top and crashing down. And yeah, it's hard and it has to pounce and bound around these rocks and figure its way and wiggle its way through, but it does. And then it has a point of peace. And then, that might actually pour into another river or split off and feed other things. And around any creek out in the wilderness, around the waterfalls, after you've gone through the crashing rocks, there are always just these peaceful places where there's beauty all around it and these trees just grow. I want you to think about what kind of life you want to lead. Waterfall or stagnant mosquito pond? I'll take this a little step further in a little more playful way, perhaps. I was on Jay Helm's podcast, W2 Capitalist. If you're listening, it's a great podcast. Go check it out. And he asked me, he said, Julie, I hear you have a mindset playlist. Will you tell me what's on it? And I said, I'll tell you a little bit about that playlist. And it is called Mom's Mindset. And as we're driving around, I might actually hear a song and it's just like one line in a song and it will snag me. I'll be like, whoa, that's powerful. Those are words that feed my soul, that feed my mind, in a way that will help me overcome when that challenge comes up in my mind. So I'll say to my son, like, hey, will you just drop that onto Mom's Mindset playlist, please? One of the songs that's on that playlist, asterisk, the songs on my playlist are not always songs that are my favorite musically, but it is something that grabbed me because of the lyrics. I'm a words person, and those words, right? Your words have power, and what you speak into your life and into the lives of those around you, those words are powerful, and they must be guarded and protected. So inviting words into your life through, music is a really powerful way to feed your mind, feed your soul. Be careful. Be careful of the message that you're putting in. That's why I'm very careful about the music I listen to, because, it gets stuck in your head and it's like the washing machine effect where you just can't get it out of your head. And that's the message that you're telling yourself and playing, right? Well, I was listening to Sia. She has a song called Courage to Change. And the chorus kind of says, not kind of, it's like repeated over and over and over again. It says, have I the courage to change today? And this has multiple meanings, right? Have I the courage to change the world around me and to lead a life that matters? But in order to do that, do I have the courage to change me as a person? Okay, so let's go back. We've got our pond and we've got our waterfall. In order to change from a pond into a waterfall, we have to face some uncomfortable friction in our life, and we have to find those habits in our life that we've adopted and accepted, and we have to push back on them, and we have to uproot them and weed them out. This is akin to Sleeping Beauty's castle, if you will. Sleeping Beauty is inside this castle in one of the stories that I read to my children years ago. And around the castle is this hedge of thorns. I'm going to invite you to think about this hedge of thorns as the habits. Those are the habits in our life. And when we refuse to acknowledge our habits, good or bad, or we refuse to uproot habits, good or obviously we don't want to uproot good habits, so we'll just say, we refuse to uproot bad habits, that process alone will allow this hedge to form around us. Now, in that story of Sleeping Beauty, that hedge was like 3 feet or deeper thick, and it had thorns in it. I want you to picture a castle in your mind's eye right now. And I want you to picture you're at the top of a turret and you're looking out over the land and you see a beautiful lake. And it's got beautiful wildlife around it and grasses and flowers. And you want to go there. You're like, whoa, that's where I want to head in life. And you go down to the bottom of the castle. You go out the castle door and you're like, oh,
well, wait a second, I have to go through that hedge to get there? I'm going to get scraped and bruised and beat up. That hedge is sometimes self-imposed. Our habits, unchecked, create a hedge in our life that prevents us from being able to comfortably get to the next place we want to be in life and experience the beauty and wonders of the creation around us. That might be financial, it might be relationships, it could spill over into all parts of your life. I want to invite you right now to please make sure that you are looking and evaluating the habits in your life, the daily comforts in your life. Are you hitting snooze and sleeping in? Are you making excuses about working out? Are you saying, oh, it's just another glass of wine? Are you saying, oh, I'm usually nice to my kids, it'll be fine? What are the habits that you have cultivated in your life? Oh, I can just press decline on that phone call and let it go to voicemail. What are the habits that you are surrounding yourself with in your life today? And what kind of hedge is that putting around you? That hedge is going to prevent you, that habit will prevent you from leading the life of your dreams. Now, if you take that hedge, if you find those habits and they're small, they're really easy, just like weeds, right? You can really easily pluck them out, dismiss them, and move on. You can replace them with a good habit. But if that habit is larger than life, you might need to invite some accountability into your life. And that's a good thing. Reach out to somebody and invite them to hold you accountable as you make those changes and that transformation and evolving into the next version of you. We weren't intended to stay and remain the same person every single day, but it takes courage to tackle habits. It takes courage to say goodbye to version whatever of yourself and hello to the next version. There's uncertainty as you look to that next person that you are becoming. And you know, to become that next person, sometimes there's growing pains, right? Just like kids when they're cutting teeth. It's not comfortable when they are cutting their teeth. But guess what? It sure makes for a great smile, and it sure makes for eating some better foods, right? It's definitely advantageous. So whatever discomfort and pain that you have to go through to grow into the next version of you, it's going to be totally well worth it. Now, I am going to admit, it does create discomfort in a large part of your life. Every relationship in your life will have to pivot a little bit because as you change, the environment around you is going to respond to you as well. And sometimes it's going to react. You need to be prepared to face that. You need to have confidence to say, who do I want to be? Do I want to stay this person? Do I want to stay the pond? Do I want to stay the person trapped up in the castle? Or do I want the freedom in my life to become the best person I can become, to live a life that has meaning and helps people and influence and speaks powerful truth into people's lives? It will cost. As I leave you this week, I want to leave you with that quote from Dr. Susan David. Discomfort is the admission to a meaningful life. You are not here by chance. You are not intended to live in a little box, and you're not intended to stay the same person that you are today. Every day, be evolving into the next version of you. Uproot those habits and take charge of your life. All right, guys, I look forward to hearing from you this week. Keep that in mind and go find your freedom.
Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of Ask Me How I Know. This episode was brought to you by 3 Keys Investments. They are dedicated to helping people like you, you, my awesome listeners, develop passive income and legacy wealth through multifamily investing. Feel free to check out their website, 3keysinvestments.com, to see if there's an offering that will help your portfolio grow and meet all of your needs. If you haven't already rated, reviewed, subscribed, liked, all of those bells and whistles, I would be absolutely honored if you would do that for Ask Me How I Know. Thanks again, and go make it a great day.